Welcome, everybody, to Neutrality Studies. We are back today with Stanislav Krapivnik for a update on Iran, and he's going to give us probably the view from Moscow. He just got up a moment ago, and he's been very busy, as most of us have been the last 24 hours. Stas, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Trump
Oh,
is a bastard. He doesn't give us any rest, does he now?
He doesn't. He doesn't. He gives nobody a rest. Well, I mean, the sad news, of course, this morning as you wake up in Moscow, the sad news, the somewhat shocking news is that the United States actually managed to do it. They managed to kill Ayatollah Khamenei. I will just do a screen share. I am sorry that I am not prepared for this, but here we go. They actually managed to kill him, the supreme leader of Iran. This is very sad for all of his supporters in Iran. This is a very happy moment for all of the people who hated him and the Iranian government. These are also true pictures from Toronto of people celebrating with Iranian flags of the Iranian monarchy, right? So these people have their supporters, they have their enemies, but when you just heard that Khamenei was killed, what went through your mind?
You know, just for people to understand, Khamenei is the second most important person in the Shia faith. That's about equivalent of the U.S. assassinating Patriarch Kirill, which I wouldn't put past the U.S. to attempt through its proxies, or to the Bishop of Canterbury, or maybe even the Pope, if we're going to go down that line. So, congratulations, Mr. Trump. You just started a religious war, because this is no longer simply a war of states. It's a religious war. And congratulations to your allies in the region, because I think quite a few of these little U.S.-backed Sunni monarchies and such are about to fall. If you look at realistically what's going on, first of all, Bahrain. Why were people cheering? Because 80% of the population is Shia, ruled by a dictatorial 20% Sunni. Um, Go to Qatar, you got about 500,000 citizens and about 9 million disenfranchised workers, most of them military age, who they don't really care about because they look at them as basically paid slaves, indentured servants. You go to a country like Saudi Arabia, which now, by the way, has declared it will do anything that the U.S. wants to fight, any of its assets. So Saudi Arabia is now in this war also, this regional war. This is no longer a conflict with Iran. Um, the Shia are 40% of the minority, and they also happen to mostly live around where the oil is. Well, welcome to a interfaith war. It's the Shia, along with the Alawites, along with the Christians, Orthodox and Catholics, are already fighting the American-backed jihadists in Syria. So this is very, very quickly spreading. We already have a three-way fight from the side of the Iranians, because this has turned into a regional war. Yesterday turned into a regional war, with Iraq and Yemen participating directly, and America attacking Iraqi forces, which is interesting because America is still occupying parts of Iraq, still occupying parts of Syria. And for those American forces there, how should I put it? You're screwed, because you're literally the cowboys in the little fort with the Indians around you, except those Indians are now armed with mortars, light artillery, drones, machine guns, RPGs, and so on. Help ain't coming. You're in the middle of Iraq, and the whole country's at war with you. So he's just basically put those people lives on sacrifice. Well, congratulations. Netanyahu got his regional war. What's going to be left of Israel is a big question. And of course, as usual, the people that are going to be suffering first and foremost are just the average guy.
Hey, very brief intermission because I was recently banned from YouTube, and although I'm back, this can happen anytime again. So please consider subscribing not only here, but to my mailing list on Substack. That's pascalotta.substack.com. The link's going to be in the description below, and now back to the video. You managed yesterday, of course, to follow what happened in the very on the first day for quite a while, being also in Moscow. What do you what did you make out of how this first day unfolded, basically? Is it when you were thinking about this war? I mean, we all knew that the US was building its forces up for 3 months, right? We all knew that this danger
Right.
was there at any point in time. Did it actually happen the way that you thought it would, or what surprised you?
Yeah, it happened the way I thought it would. First of all, um, y- I would say the last decent president the U.S. had was Reagan, and it's been rolling downhill ever since. Um, Reagan, I was reading from an article from the biographer, Reagan's biographer, said, Reagan had been shot. He was lying in the hospital when the movie The Day After came out. I remember that movie because I was about 11 years old. Well, maybe no, I was more than 11. I guess I was about 13, somewhere around there, or 12, somewhere around there. Anyways, it was a school night. It was Thursday, and they showed it at 11 o'clock at night, so kids wouldn't watch it. And I got up and I had a little black and white television about that big. Switched the box on and I'm watching it. And my father came in halfway through, found out I was sitting there watching it. I got in big trouble. God rest his soul. Um, when that movie came out, Reagan was was laying in the hospital and watched it. And the videographer said he called his advisors over and said, "Is it really going to be that bad?" Like, no, Mr. President, it's going to be many times worse. We censored a lot of this stuff out. It's like, no, 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 no. Get Gorbachev. We're not going to have a nuclear war. That was the last rational president the U.S. had. Maybe Bush Sr. was still kind of reserved. He was a former head of the CIA. He was a World War II vet, but that was it. And Bush Sr. already started sliding because he was part of the deep state, but he at least had an understanding of what a world war was, and and having been head of the CIA, I had some idea of what they were doing. After that, everything starts sliding, and the hubris is huge. And this continuous approach, you know, when the Serbs were negotiating with the U.S. Yugoslavia, it was the same thing. First of all, the U.S. put a bunch of demands out, and Serbs agreed. Well, you can't have a war if they freaking agree to your demands, now can you? No, let's put more demands. Holbrooke brought in there a bunch of demands that would basically strip Serbia of its sovereignty, which he knew was they'd never agree to that. And just to make an emphasis, in during these negotiations, the U.S. struck Milosevic's house. They killed part of his family. Oh, they didn't talk about it very much. It's a blip on the radar, but look it up. It was 1994. They blew up his
Yeah.
country house.
No, I have no
Trying
problems
to,
believing that. I mean, that's. I mean, we're seeing that right now, right? The U.S. striking the people that it negotiates with or pretends to be negotiating with as part of the strategy. So the problem is, if you believe that their negotiations are done in good faith, then you're already dead. Um,
yeah, get the extra life insurance.
Yeah, they they
Get
they
your wife
they
to
did that now
buy it.
several times. Also, like Israel, right? Negotiating with Hamas while killing them, negotiating with the Hezbollah while killing them, and now this one. I mean, it's now so blatantly obvious that actually my Chinese friends tell me that Chinese media mocks the victims because they keep saying like, why would you even believe that? Why would you even talk to them? And yet, I mean, they tried to kill Vladimir Putin. It's like how
Yeah,
um if you don't have the capacity to stop it, then you're done for. That's what the whole world now learns, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, quite literally. Yeah, I think I don't know if Putin was actually on location. His presence was being ghosted through telecommunications. But the fact is, yes, 91 drones. They didn't accidentally fly in that direction. The Russian systems are just good enough to take them all out. But 91 drones that recovered the chips from a lot of these drones, they had the coordinates logged in, American chips, American coordinates popped in there through their proxies. So yes, absolutely, they tried. How do you trust these people? How do you negotiate with them? Well, I mean, you could put a knife to their throat. That's their or to their balls. I don't know what works better for these people. That's about the only way you can negotiate with them. You have to hold them at knife's point, where they don't have a choice, where they know they're going to die. Their children are going to die. I guess that's the only way you can negotiate with people like
I mean, doesn't this now mean
that.
doesn't this now mean that Iran now, in order to somehow gain back escalation dominance, that they somehow now have to get to the leadership of either Israel or the United States? I mean, this is the natural logic of this thing, right?
Well, they don't. They don't necessarily need to have to go after the leadership. Well, the leadership of Israel, I mean, they've blown up before Netanyahu's house. They did strike it, gave him a little message. But these people are in deep bunkers. And guess what? Israel makes its bunkers underneath hospitals. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. This is why they were looking for the bunkers underneath the hospitals in Gaza, because they built that hospital and they built the bunkers underneath it. They knew it was there. So they moved they quite literally used their own people as a human shield. Quite literally. And then they could scream, "Oh, look, they're killing civilians." It's pathetic. I mean, it's pathetic to do that. It's cowardly.
So how does what do you hear out of Russia? I mean, how's the Russian media reporting on this, and how is the Russian leadership now approaching the war that everybody knew was in the works?
Um, you know, Russia rushed in MiG 29s, Su-35s, Me-28 attack helicopters, S-400s. Um, Russia also brought in what wasn't as much reported, upgrades in avionics, in target acquisition, in propulsion, in HUD displays for the missiles and the legacy aviation. Well, obviously the HUDs for the legacy aviation, jamming equipment. But here's the thing nobody really talks about, but I'll tell you straight up. I mean, nobody's going to admit to this, obviously, but I guarantee you, behind the controls of a lot of those MiGs and a lot of those Sukhois are Russian pilots,
Right.
because it takes about a year to train up a pilot from nothing. But if you take a pilot from another platform and you try to train him, sure, you could do it in about 3 to 4 months, but he's never going to be that good, because muscle memory under tension is going to bring him back to whatever he was, whatever layout. It's not just a matter of layout of controls. Every plane's design has its own avionics, has its own aerodynamics. Let me phrase that. It's aerodynamics. So it flies different, and its controls differently. It's not a matter of, today I was on an Abrams tank and now I'm on a T-90 tank. I moved over. Yes, I have to learn how to control and everything. The tanks basically still roll the same. They perform differently, but you can get used to that relatively quickly. It's like jumping from a mid-range car to, say, a sports car. Sure, they perform differently, but that's something you can get used to a lot easier because it's still grounded. Aviation is very different. And those people, while they can perform, they perform at a much lower level than a pilot that just grew up on that platform. So preparing pilots from zero, just there hasn't been enough time. Half a year or less, actually, is just not enough time. So I guarantee you, there are there are Russian pilots, they're usually officers, in those planes, and probably at least some Russian crews on the ground. The S-400, for a modern anti-aircraft system to prepare officers, it usually takes about a year.
Right.
It hasn't been a year.
Yeah.
It's, so I guarantee you there are Russian crews on the ground already. And Russia has already said, Iran has a problem. It has lots of oil, but it doesn't have enough refinery capacity. So it has problems with fuel. Russia is already exporting fuel, diesel to Iran across the Caspian. And Russia said, basically, we've got your back. And food supplies, anything like that, we've got your back. And the news of the school being hit, I went to bed and the casualty rates have already come up to 160. And I saw some of the videos of they're little girls. It was an all girls school, elementary school. That's first to what, about fifth grade.
Do you do
About
you do you
160 victims.
do you believe it was an accident, or is this just Israel just terrorizing the Iranians?
Israel, U.S., they both enjoy lots of collateral damage, as they call it. I don't think it's collateral. I think it's collateral damage implied if you really weren't targeting. They just happened to be in the way. They got caught in the crossfire, or maybe yes, the missile went off course. I don't think so. Honestly, you want to believe that they really didn't target the children, but no, I don't believe that. I think they really targeted the children. Um, they've done it before. They've done all of this before. We saw all of this in Gaza, in Syria, in Lebanon. We've seen all of this before. We've seen the way the U.S. Uh, saved Mosul by wiping half the city population out, just bombing it into rubble, driving in and putting the flag and say it's okay, it's safe. We saw what the Anglo Alliance did in World War II. They try to drop this crap on Russia, that Russia murder the Red Army murdered civilians and raped everything from 7 to 70. By the way, rape was punishable by summary execution. So was theft, marauding. One of my grandfathers was a captain, right, in the Red Army, and it's always been in the Russian army too. Suvorov marched into Milan. The women of Milan pushed the French out. The women of Milan brought their daughters out to kiss the Russian hands, because the standard in the garden was when you took a city, you gave your men 1 to 3 days to raid, murder, and pillage, freedom to do what they wanted to do. The Russian army marched in, pushed the French out, and the Russian army marched out. Marauding, anything else was punishable, summary execution. That's it. Total discipline in this case. No rape, no murder, no pillaging, no freedom of a couple of days. And that, my grandfather was a captain in the Red Army Tank Corps, fought into Berlin, had 3 tanks burn out underneath him, which caused him mental issues, of course. He summarily executed a lieutenant who he caught raping a German woman. Almost got white. Had shot himself, so they figured out why he did it. There was a murder, a summary execution for rape. That's the Anglo Alliance burnt 5 out of 6 million German civilians that died in World War II died from firebombing. Everybody remembers Dresden. Every single German city was firebombed. A lot of northern French cities and towns were firebombed. They didn't have Germans in there. They were just wiped out anyways. So this is SOP. Taking out civilians, like it or not, but this is how things have always ran. The U.S. has done it countless times. The Philippines war, well, they took out 20% of the population. The aim was 50 in concentration camps and just genocides, and so on and so on. Just go down history. And you start reading history, not the myth that they teach the kids, but the actual history. It's horrific, and it's just how
So
it's been. So I
so
don't think this is about a year thing.
No, so you would expect that also the war against Iran will be implemented in this way, for with not only disregard for civilian casualties, but with an intent of targeting them as well, and the Western media then of course going and covering up and having a spotlight on every civilian that dies in the Western camp, and a blanket kind of do whatever you want with the civilians on the other side. I mean, the way we have seen it also before, the way we have seen it with the Ukraine war, right? Where also everything that happened in Kursk and so on was basically sweet talked as a way for the brave Ukrainians to get back up against the evil Russians. I mean, we are already seeing how the Europeans are covering up now, and the Germans and the French and the British already announced that they condemn Iran for striking at the region, which, as they put it, not at U.S. bases in the region, but at the region. It's quite pathetic, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, look at Yugoslavia. When the U.S. forces, 78 days they were bombing Yugoslavia, when U.S. forces couldn't find the Yugoslav army to hit, they went after civilian targets. They went after churches. They went after, I remember they took out a hospital infirmary where wounded Yugoslav soldiers were laying in the basement. And above the hospital, the layers above it, by the way, was a birthing ward, and they took all of that out. First of all, you don't shoot wounded soldiers. There's such a
No.
thing called Geneva Convention. Oh yeah, America doesn't give a damn about the conventions of science. It never has. That's the American Indians. They took out markets. They took out trains full of civilians. They took out chemical plants polluting the Danube and the surrounding area because they didn't give a damn. They had to hit something, so they hit something. So yes, absolutely. Now that Trump is saying, "Oh, don't worry, this will be a short war, 4 days." Well, Mr. Trump, releasing the hounds of war is the dogs of war is easy. Pulling them back in, yeah, you're going to learn a few things about war since you didn't bother learning them in Vietnam. Mister, I know how to fight a war, and I'm the smartest man that ever walked on Earth and drank Corona. The commercials. Yeah, I don't normally drink beer, but when I do, yeah, or Dos Equis, whatever the beer is. But he had 5 deferments. He never went to Vietnam. Obviously, he never wore a uniform. He has no concept of what it is. Nobody in his family's ever served or is going to ever serve. They're the elites. They're quite literally. It's the Epstein "let's eat your children" elites and drink their blood. I mean, quite literally.
But he also made one of the dumbest start of war speeches I've ever heard. I mean, he boxed himself in such a stupid corner, saying that the only thing that's acceptable is the utter demilitarization and like obliteration of Iran's military and regime change. And in order to do so, he actually needs the Iranian public that after the bombing is done, after he's done bombing them, then they are supposed to stand up and wipe away the government. I mean, this seems so dumb to me that I just wonder who cleared that speech because he clearly didn't write it himself.
Oh, there's plenty of neocons around them. I mean, they all have Woodies right now. They finally got their dream. What Trump said, "I'm going to be different." Oh, he has been different. In that, each of the previous presidents have all been since made. I don't know if George Bush Sr. was, but Clinton definitely was, and Bush Jr. was, and Obama was, and Trump one was, and Biden was, were all at least partially owned by the Israeli lobby. But
Yeah.
all of them, including Trump on his first term, they had the common sense to go, no, no, this is a bridge too far. We're not going down this road because this is a regional, possibly global war we're going to start. Trump 2.0 is an imbecile that went and that broke under Netanyahu's pressure. And just to understand, this Iran is about to get the nuclear weapon is not a myth that Netanyahu came up with. I've found articles from the Jerusalem Post from 1986. 40 years they've been saying this just any day now. Oh, they're a week away. They're a month away. They're 2-3 days away. They're just, a blink and they're going to have nuclear weapons on the moon. Anything to try to get this war started. And they finally, 40 years of trying, they finally found an idiot big enough to do it. And Trump volunteered to be that historical idiot who thinks he's going to be able to stop this in 3 more days. No, it's become a religious regional war. And Israel's not going to survive this. Right now, what we've seen is Iran. First of all, the S-400s haven't been deployed. that are being kept quiet, and they're being kept quiet to save them, because there's going to be bigger targets flying, because those cruise missiles that the U.S. has are a limited supply. Uh, Aviation from the aircraft carriers, it's a very long flight unless they want to get real close. And there's been reports, I haven't been able to confirm them. There's been reports that the Lincoln was already attacked once. I don't know, maybe.
Mm.
Again, I can't confirm them. And now, where is this going to go? Well, in the end, it's going to be the B-2s to do any more particular strikes. Most of the launchers haven't been deployed. They're being deployed in arrays. That way, they're not all the targets are going to show up. They get deployed, some order to get deployed, so they're going for the long war. Iran is going for the long war. They shut the Straits of Hormuz. Shipping's already stopped just from that threat alone. Sure, 1 day, 2 days, oil only went up 2.9% so far. Insurance is going to go up. There was a Russian tanker a few months ago that was attacked while it was near Greece by Ukrainians using Greece, using FPV drones with RPG rounds, basically like that.
Right.
Guess what? Iran has those same drones. And this is a much narrower, smaller area to operate in. They don't need even anti-ship missiles. You can take out a swarm of drones with separate drone operators. It's 32 kilometers at its narrowest point, and they can quite easily attack any ship coming in with RPG rounds on those FPV drones. And that's it. You only need to take one or two before everybody goes, yeah, that's it. And Europe, by the way, welcome to fuel starvation if this lasts more than about a week. Welcome to not getting LNG from Qatar. So keep excusing the Americans while your own civilization starts to go to bingo fuel. And then what do you do?
Do you did you already hear like statements from the Russian government on this? And secondly, like, do you think that the Americans are going to try to use the same strategy as with Venezuela? You know, now that the big guy has been taken out, they're going to threaten doing the same to the survivors. So basically to the civilian government, right? Pezeshkian and Arachi and so on, and tell them like, you now cave or else you're also going to die, and that's their strategy. Oh,
Yeah, it is. Quite literally is their strategy. From the Russian side, I mean, Russia and China condemned it, obviously. They demand a UN Council meeting. But the point is they're working. They've already brought in a lot of equipment. What the U.S. is counting on is insurgency, because they didn't activate all themselves. I guarantee you that. They're counting on insurgency. You're probably going to bring, if it's not already into play, they're probably bringing in Azerbaijan. And if Azerbaijan really goes into this, Azerbaijan will not exist as a nation, because it's managed to do a lot to piss off Russia and do a lot to piss off Iran before. And when you're stuck between that, to go full Ukraine, you've got to be the lowest form of moron that probably ever crawled out from underneath a rock. I mean, let's be realistic. And when you're in that kind of neighborhood, how do you think you're going to get backing? I mean, even through Pashinyan being an absolute whore for the West, willing to sell out Armenia for anything that it is, and Turkey being over there. But Turkey has a problem too. He's already said they're next. You don't usually do things like that unless the hubris is just so thick that you're so convinced. Okay, I'll take a step back. I did a video on this 2 days ago. If you want to understand the Zionist mentality, I'm not saying Jewish, I'm saying Zionist, Jewish Zionist, not Christian Zionist in this case. Go listen to what the Zionist Kabbalist rabbis are saying. There's plenty of videos on YouTube. Type in the Jewish soul or something of that nature, difference in the soul. And they'll tell you, these Zionist rabbis, they love to videotape themselves. They love to put it out. It's a genetic level. God touched them, made them the chosen people. They touched them and changed them genetically. So they don't have to be, they can be atheists, whatever, but if you're part Jewish, you have a full soul. You have a homa. You have a place that is home of the of God, a piece of God. All the others are just a little above monkey.
Mm.
They have a bina. Bina is it's rationality. You don't have godliness. You can't self-sacrifice for God. It's always a deal. Like, okay, so if I blow myself up, I get 72 virgins. So it's always a deal. So they look at everybody else as we can buy them. They can't understand these guys. If they're coming, if they actually believe this, they believe they're genetically superior. There's some other group that believe the same thing. But
They did, but let's not go that far. It's
yeah,
it's it's utterly it's a disgusting thing that we're in this world again. It's a
yeah,
disgusting thing. It's just
yeah.
insane. And like the
And you
type
can
of
move
war
forward with
again.
people like that. Yeah.
Mm.
These are people that believe that they can buy you because you're not you can't self-sacrifice, you can't go for a greater goal. They can always buy you, and you're inferior genetically. Now, how do you negotiate with people like that? You can't on an equal basis.
But did you already hear? I mean, in the 12th Day War, Israel actually prevented its own people from leaving the country because they were getting bombed so hard. Have you heard anything about this? Did they already close the borders again? I mean, not just to come in, but to go out?
I haven't heard that. But there's another thing. Israel, as a great democracy, practices absolute censorship and
Oh, yeah.
military censorship.
So we
It
wouldn't
shuts
know what's
down
going on there.
newspapers. Yeah, yeah. I haven't heard. I know some people there. I haven't had a chance to talk to them. Partially because I know that's going to be whining of they're hitting us. Why are there those evil people hitting us? Yeah, you got to start these
Yeah.
wars.
I mean, it's everywhere in the media, right? Iran had to be hit not because of anything concrete they did, but because they were evil, right? Because all the evil that they do, and that's now the excuse even in Europe. And Stas, I know your time is very limited today. Is there any one more thought that you want to share with us, or shall we wrap it up?
Uh, the only thought I have to share is right now. I mean, pray for the families of the dead. And there's going to be a lot of dead. There's already a lot of dead. A lot of children have died. Um, you know, prayer, and then
Yeah.
rationally look at what's going on. The Americans have unleashed something they can't control. Hezbollah is all in because if Iran goes down, Hezbollah is done. Hezbollah is all in. Hamas will probably go in. This is just going to continue expanding, and Americans are ready. No matter what they say, Americans didn't die. They died. There's American casualties. It's and there's going to be a lot more of them. So the only message I have to the people in the West: you're being marched off a cliff. Time's up. Either go do something, hit the streets, put pressure on your governments, or you look at your children and know that they don't have a future. I mean, this is it. You can't sit on the couch all the time. You know, 10% of the German population had a party card from the National Socialist Workers Party. 10%. If you don't know what that means, that's Nazi. Nazi is the abbreviation for it. The National Socialist Workers Party. I'm talking to anybody else. More likely, everybody in the audience knows that. But 10%. The bombs didn't ask for party membership. An all 95, 98% of German public fought in that war in one way or the other, sent their sons off, whether they carried the card or not. So they all paid for it. Could they have stopped it? Yes, they could have, but they backed it. Look at your children and know that it's their future, if not even their lives, that you're willing to sacrifice if you don't do something right now to try to stop this.
If you're living in an
Sitting on
empire of
the couch.
if you're living in an empire of evil and an empire of lies, then you must not be surprised if in the end you and your family will suffer from the empire, and that's currently what the West is building, and as a conglomerate. It's a conglomerate approach. Stas, it's very sad subject for a Sunday. I know that you will pray from now on, so I wish you and your family all the best with the prayers, and let's pray for Iran and for peace, for your West Asia, for everybody. That's Stas Krapivnik, a Slavic man. If you want to look him up and find him, I highly recommend it. Slavic with a K. I know that now. Find him. Stas, thank you for your time.
Mr. Slavic man, Mr. Slavic man.
Mr. Slavic man. That's how you find him.
Slavic man was
Stas,
taken,
thank you.
so I had to.
Thank you.
Cheers.